The Sakakibara Seito Incident began as a seemingly ordinary day in Kobe, Japan, in May 1997, but it ended with a discovery that would horrify the entire nation. On the morning of May 27th, teachers at Tainohata Elementary School found the severed head of 11-year-old Jun Hase placed atop the school's gates. His eyes were closed, and his mouth was crudely slashed open, giving him an unnerving, unnatural grin. A note was stuffed into his mouth, signed by the name Sakakibara Seito, a pseudonym the killer used to taunt authorities and the public. The letter expressed the killer's hatred for society and desire to inflict harm, stating, "This is the beginning of the game." The gruesome act was not only a direct attack on an innocent child, but also an assault on the safety and sanctity of schools, places traditionally regarded as safe havens. The crime sent shockwaves throughout Japan, a country with one of the lowest crime rates in the world, and a strong cultural emphasis on safety and order. The sheer brutality of the murder and the choice to display the severed head at a school added an unsettling theatricality that made it all the more horrifying. For parents, it shattered their sense of security, as they grappled with the realization that their children could be targeted in such a gruesome manner. The incident dominated headlines, with media outlets covering every aspect of the investigation and stoking widespread fear. The killing of Jun Hase was not an isolated incident. Weeks earlier, on March 16th, 10-year-old Ayaka Yamashita had been lured into an isolated area and brutally beaten to death with a hammer. However, it was only after Hase's murder that investigators connected the two crimes. The pattern suggested that the killer had escalated, transitioning from a concealed act of violence to a public display meant to terrify and provoke. The note left with Hase's head offered police their first concrete lead. It was written in a mix of formal and informal Japanese, suggesting a youthful perpetrator. The chilling tone of the letter, combined with its cryptic references to future violence, left investigators racing against time to prevent another attack. The public, meanwhile, remained on edge, gripped by the fear that such a ruthless killer could still be lurking among them. What started as a shocking discovery quickly became a national crisis, marking the beginning of one of Japan's most infamous criminal cases. The hunt for the perpetrator of the Sakakibara Seito incident was one of the most intense and high-profile investigations in modern Japanese history. Following the discovery of 11-year-old Jun Hase's severed head placed on the gates of a school in Kobe, along with a chilling note signed Sakakibara Seito, the nation was thrown into a state of shock and fear. The gruesome nature of the crime, combined with the perpetrator's apparent desire for attention, created an atmosphere of urgency as law enforcement scrambled to find the person responsible. The note left with Hase's remains provided investigators with their first clues. Written in a mix of kanji and katakana, the letter expressed hatred for society and an intent to kill again, signing off with phrases like, "I am the killer." It also taunted police, accusing them of incompetence. This cryptic and threatening communication heightened public anxiety and fueled a media frenzy. The killer's ability to avoid detection for weeks after the murder of 10-year-old Ayaka Yamashita, followed by Hase's killing, only deepened fears that a cunning, cold-blooded predator was on the loose. The police faced significant challenges during the investigation. With little physical evidence to work with and no eyewitnesses to the crime, they were initially unsure if the killer was an adult or a child. Profilers speculated about the mental state of the perpetrator, suggesting he might be a highly disturbed individual with a desire for notoriety. Law enforcement combed through local schools and communities, looking for anyone who fit this profile while also trying to maintain calm in a city gripped by panic. A critical breakthrough came when authorities focused on letters sent to the media, believed to be from the killer. These correspondences revealed not only his desire for infamy, but also key behavioral patterns that allowed investigators to narrow their search. When police finally arrested a 14-year-old boy in June 1997, the revelation shocked the nation. Few could believe that someone so young had committed such heinous crimes. The boy, known only as Boy A due to Japan's strict juvenile laws, confessed to both murders and led police to additional evidence, including the murder weapon. The arrest marked the end of a weeks-long manhunt, but opened the door to a deeper and more troubling question. How could a child commit such acts? The case forever changed Japan's perception of youth violence, prompting both reflection and reform in how crimes committed by minors were understood and addressed. The Sakakibara Seito Incident brought the troubled mind of its 14-year-old perpetrator, referred to as Boy A, into chilling focus, forcing Japan to confront the dark complexities of juvenile psychology. The case revealed a disturbing level of premeditation and emotional detachment, qualities rarely associated with someone so young. This sparked a wave of curiosity and concern about what could drive a teenager to commit such brutal and senseless acts of violence. Psychological evaluations conducted after Boy A's arrest painted a harrowing picture. Diagnosed with a personality disorder, he exhibited a deep fascination with death, mutilation, and the macabre. His diary, later revealed to the public, offered an unsettling glimpse into his mind. It contained graphic descriptions of his violent fantasies and a growing urge to kill. One entry chillingly stated, "I can relieve stress by committing murder. I have no intention of being caught." These writings reflected not only his meticulous planning, but also a desire for notoriety, which he ultimately achieved when his crimes became a national scandal. Investigators and psychologists also examined Boy A's personal history to understand the roots of his violent behavior. Reports suggested he experienced bullying and social isolation, which likely compounded feelings of anger and alienation. A highly intelligent child, he struggled to form meaningful relationships, withdrawing into a world of violent fantasies and gruesome interests. His fascination with violent media, including slasher films and gory imagery, was noted as a potential influence on his desensitization to violence. However, these factors alone could not fully explain the depth of his actions, leaving the public grappling with the inexplicability of pure human cruelty. The case also ignited debates about the role of societal and parental oversight in preventing such tragedies. Critics argued that Boy A's parents and teachers missed key warning signs, such as his aggressive behavior toward animals and other children. These early indicators, now understood as potential precursors to more severe violence, went largely unaddressed. The incident highlighted a broader societal failure to detect and intervene in the lives of at-risk youth, particularly those harboring severe emotional and psychological distress. Ultimately, the Sakakibara Seito case forced Japan to reevaluate its approach to juvenile mental health and criminal behavior. It raised critical questions about how to identify and address violent tendencies in young people, as well as how to reconcile the dual aims of justice and rehabilitation when faced with such profoundly disturbing crimes. The Sakakibara Seito Incident sparked a national reckoning in Japan, not only for its horrifying nature, but also for the legal and societal questions it raised about justice, responsibility, and rehabilitation. The case put Japan's juvenile justice system under intense scrutiny, as many citizens felt the punishment handed down to the perpetrator, Boy A, was insufficient given the severity of his crimes. At the time of the incident, Japan's Juvenile Act prioritized rehabilitation over punitive measures for offenders under the age of 20, with the maximum sentence for a minor being incarceration in a juvenile correctional facility until the age of 21. As a result, Boy A was sentenced to just 6 years, sparking outrage and widespread calls for legal reform. The incident became a catalyst for public debate on whether the age of criminal responsibility in Japan should be lowered. Many argued that a 14-year-old capable of committing such premeditated and gruesome acts should face harsher penalties. This sentiment led to amendments to the Juvenile Act in 2000, which lowered the age of criminal responsibility from 16 to 14. These changes also allowed for juveniles accused of serious crimes to be transferred to adult court under certain circumstances, signaling a shift in the balance between rehabilitation and public safety. While the changes were seen as necessary by some, critics warned against losing sight of the core principles of juvenile justice, which emphasized the potential for reform and second chances. The case also revealed gaps in how society and the legal system addressed mental health issues and violent tendencies among youth. Boy A, was later diagnosed with a personality disorder and a deep fascination with violence, as evidenced by his diary entries and chilling letters to the media. However, there were few mechanisms in place at the time to identify and intervene in such cases before they escalated to violence. The incident underscored the need for better mental health resources in schools and communities, as well as more robust systems for identifying and supporting at-risk youth. Beyond legal reforms, the incident had a profound societal impact, particularly on how juvenile crime was perceived and reported. The media played a significant role in shaping public opinion, with sensationalized coverage often emphasizing the gruesome details of the crimes. This fueled fear and stigma surrounding youth violence, further complicating efforts to address the root causes of such behavior. Ultimately, the Sakakibara Seito case left Japan grappling with complex questions about accountability, rehabilitation, and the balance between protecting society and offering a path to redemption for juvenile offenders. It remains a defining moment in the evolution of Japan's legal and social response to violent crime. The Sakakibara Seito incident left a profound and haunting legacy in Japan, reshaping public consciousness, legal policies, and cultural narratives. Following the arrest and subsequent release of Boy A, his identity became a focal point of intense public scrutiny. Under Japan's juvenile protection laws, his identity remained hidden, granting him anonymity even after he reached adulthood. However, this decision sparked widespread debate, with many questioning the balance between protecting a rehabilitated individual and the public's right to know. The secrecy surrounding his identity fueled rumors and speculation, creating an atmosphere of lingering distrust and unease. After serving 6 years in a juvenile correctional facility, Boy A was released into society in 2004. His reintegration was controversial, with some fearing his potential for recidivism and others advocating for his second chance. Reports suggest that he assumed a new identity and led a quiet, secluded life. However, his decision to publish an autobiography, Zeka, Absolute Song, in 2015 reignited public outrage. The book, which recounted his crimes and reflections on his past, was seen by many as exploitative and disrespectful to the victims' families. Critics argued that profiting from such a heinous act was morally reprehensible, while others saw it as an opportunity to understand the mind of a killer. The book's publication highlighted the deep wounds left by the incident and the ongoing ethical dilemmas surrounding how society should handle reformed offenders of such severe crimes. The incident also profoundly influenced Japan's legal and social frameworks. Public outcry over the light sentencing and the protection of juvenile offenders led to reforms in the Juvenile Act. The minimum age of criminal responsibility was lowered from 16 to 14, reflecting a shift in societal attitudes toward juvenile crime. The case became a turning point, prompting deeper discussions about how to address youth violence, mental health issues, and the societal factors that can lead to such tragedies. Culturally, the Sakakibara Seito case became a grim symbol of the darker undercurrents in Japanese society. It inspired numerous books, documentaries, and fictional works, often serving as a cautionary tale about the consequences of societal neglect, bullying, and the unchecked development of violent tendencies. These portrayals, while often dramatized, underscored the collective need to confront and address the conditions that give rise to such horrors. For the families of the victims, the scars remain. Their loss became emblematic of the devastating consequences of youth violence, and their stories serve as a somber reminder of the human cost behind the headlines. Decades later, the Sakakibara Seito incident continues to resonate, a chilling reminder of a nation's collective trauma and the complexities of justice and redemption.